and welcome to the Mindset Rx series of the Alpha Movement podcast. My name is Tom Foxley, and on today's show, I'm going to be touching on 5 reasons you don't want to become a mindset coach. In short, I've had a lot of people reach out to me and to cut the process a bit shorter, to get this message out to as many people as I can. And I know a lot of you will be thinking about it. I thought I'd go directly to you instead of typing out and having calls with people and creating individual responses. So here's basically 5 things that you've been saying that maybe the Mindset Rx'd Coaching Certification isn't right for me. So, number 1, it's too much money. And I completely get it. You've got training that costs money, you've got your gym membership that costs money, you're buying kit the whole time, you've got competitions coming up which have entry fees, and that's just CrossFit or just fitness because legal reasons. And then you've got your bills, you've got mortgages, you've got phone bills, you've got probably saving for the worst case scenario or the best case scenario. You've got all this stuff going on, and to be honest, I wanted to make this an expensive course because, well, one of the reasons is you've got something on the line. I don't want people coming into this course saying, well, it's or kind of subconsciously thinking, well, I haven't actually got that much on the line to lose. If I lose this or if I don't commit fully to it, I haven't really lost much. So I want people to be fully committed. And yes, this is expensive, but what you'll get is worth far more than the price of admission. And let's take things a bit more kind of logically for just a second. The first thing to say is, yeah, it costs £1,500, which is a fair amount of money, but I wanted to make it accessible to everyone, which is why if you put down a deposit of £150, that's Great British pounds, by the way, sterling, then you can do a payment plan from $135 a month, so we can go for that. And also, if you're doing this as a coach, you're going to be able to add this onto your services, which is going to obviously is something else you can charge for if you're doing this as a coach. And you'll also gain a better reputation because the results that you'll get with your athletes will just transform, and there'll be a whole new level, which is fantastic. So your reputation and your professional reputation will go through the roof. The next thing is, if you're doing this to get a job, you'll 100% be able to earn this money back if you get the job. And yes, it's going to be competitive, but competition generally brings out the best in us if it's done in a good way. So if that answers your questions, you can head over you can email me at tom@mindsetrx'd.com, and that will be the best way to get involved with the process if that's kind of answered your questions. The next thing I've been getting up is again a huge question, and I'm so glad that people have been asking it. It's basically, who the hell are you to deliver this course? What qualifications do you have? Have you run a course before? How do we know that we can basically trust you? And this is a good thing. You've obviously been taught not to trust strangers from the internet. And hopefully, if you're because some of you may be just joining this podcast for the very beginning, and if this is you, that's absolutely fine. I completely get it. And personally, I've made a mistake with investing with someone from the internet who I wish I'd never spent that money with. And what I've learned from this is that I didn't know him to begin with. I didn't know the process behind investing into this. I didn't do enough research into that. So hopefully if you look back through the back catalogue of these these podcasts, you'll be able to see that I've been doing this for a long time. I've been working in mindset for a long time. I've put hundreds of people through the Inner Athlete Performance Camp now, seminars all over Europe. And this course is put together in a way that has been extrapolated from all of my further reading, all of the courses that I've attended, and also my mentor, who's highly qualified in structuring courses. That's a very kind of low way to put it. This is highly qualified. He's extremely qualified to be running these courses. He's helped me structure all this, and he's got decades of experience in this kind of area. So it's been something that I've been processing in the back of my mind for over a year now, and it's a system that I've been working on for years. So this is really something that has been developed and kind of with a lot of thought put into. The other thing that people kind of bring out here is time. I get it. You're busy. You've probably got all sorts of stuff going on, not just training, which takes up a huge amount of time, but real life too. Spouses, jobs, maybe kids, like you've got a lot on. But when you go through the first portion of the coaching certification, you're going to get a better grip on your time and find ways to find more time, because your mindset will shift a lot. And it sounds magic that we're going to be kind of springing out time to like in your day when it seems like you don't have any more. But when you go through the coaching cert, you're going to begin to kind of prioritize things differently. You'll see things differently. You'll be a whole lot more productive, and you'll basically find a way to make the time for it. And also the group aspect is going to keep you so accountable. Right now there's 11 people in there, and it's I'm going to probably cap it at a couple more. So there's 2 more spaces. And if you want to get into this, all you have to do is shoot me an email, tom@mindsetrx.com, or find me on the socials, and we can go from there. The other thing that people have been saying is, and again, it's a great point, is this going to be a recognized qualification? In the UK here, we have REPs, the Registered Exercise Professionals. I think that's it. As you can see, I don't use REPs. I don't think it's necessarily best. Actually, let's go out on a limb. I'm not going to kind of categorize this or kind of reduce it. I don't think it's a very good way at all to register or to see how good people are at coaching. I think you get this impression from people much earlier, and it's essentially, for me, the way I see it, is a way of selling PTs and exercise professionals into further courses. But honestly, no one's ever asked me about my reps kind of qualifications. And it's not registered by CrossFit HQ either, or not recognized by CrossFit HQ. So if you're doing it to get your L3, that's fine. But quite frankly, if you're doing this to get reps points, or this isn't the right course for you. This is for people who want to grow, and for people who want to move forwards and get this kind of frontline knowledge. Because it's the front line, it's not recognized by anyone, because it's new. I say new, it's thousands of years of philosophy transferred into a new format. Because it's so far at the forefront, quite frankly, you're not going to find it anywhere, and it's not going to be recognized by these types of people. So that's that. And by the way, if that answered your questions, or you've even got any more questions, hit me up, tom@mindsetrx.com, and you can kind of put in the subject line Mindset Rx'd Coaching Certification, or MRCC, and we can go through that. And the last kind of big question I get is, what's the coaching outline? What's the course outline? And what are we going to be doing for the 15 weeks of the coaching certification? And the first thing, the first phase we go through is we'll be applying it to yourself. So the course will begin with a 5-week turbocharged version of the Mindset Rx flagship program, the Inner Athlete Performance Camp. The reasons behind this are twofold. First of all, the coaches and future coaches who perform best will already have a great approach to training mindset and will be introspective enough to see their own learning and growth with the perspective. And second, as coaches, it's very easy to forget what it feels like to be a beginner, especially when it comes down to mindset training. Understanding not only your own feelings as a beginner, but a mindset coaching course from this kind of perspective will prove invaluable as the course progresses, and ultimately as your coaching career hopefully progresses and the way that you progress with people. The second part of this is the knowledge and the system base. So in week 6, we'll go into testing mindset. So questions we answer: how do we test mindset? What constitutes growth? And kind of a bunch of other stuff around testing, like what is a good mindset? In training, we find it obvious that we should have a testing process for almost everyone before we launch into programming for change. It follows we should locate our mental baseline before proceeding forwards to understand flaws and to measure progress. And obviously flaws is kind of an interesting way for me to put that. It's not quite right. We'll touch on how to categorize mindsets and how we progress from one mindset to other. So if you've heard me talk about checked mindset and chaser mindset models, we're going to touch on this. Week 7 is going to be orientation. So with our point A in mind, how do we address our point B, and how do we get there? So where is our point B? what is like, how do we change mindset? Like what's the ultimate outcome with mindset, and how do we align our physical goals with this? And then from here we talk about, okay, how do plans develop? Like how do we put together a plan for athletes, and how do we help them achieve it? Week 8, we go into observation and elevation. This is when the real change begins to occur, and why we need to like deepen this awareness to create change. Those are the two big things. We begin to understand this from not only a physiological but a psychological and philosophical basis at this point in the coaching cert. And we'll show you how to categorize different behaviors and then create real long-lasting change with the athletes that you serve. Week 9, we'll go into sustaining. So why do people fall off the wagon? What happens, and what's going on physiologically and psychologically? And what happens when habits formed? What is a habit? And these are all big questions that in making long-lasting change with our athletes. And then we go into how do we make this fit into our athletes' lives when we aren't there? Because that's a huge part. We don't want to just have people relying on us. So it's like, how do we make this fit into our athletes' lives when we're not there to serve them the whole time? In week 10, we get into a very sport-specific / competition mindset. So what is a good sport-specific mindset? And how does this vary between events? And how does it vary between sports? And how can we apply this to not only the functional athletes that will come to us, but everyone from weightlifters to endurance athletes? And how does philosophy fit into this? We look into things like arousal levels and the background of control and willpower in regards to sport-specific scenarios. And we'll also be looking at building people's individual approach to mindset for competition, including mindset programming for competition to build the build up. So what we do in the 2 weeks before competition or the 4 weeks before competition. And in short, anything that is exclusive to training. So specific fears around like movements or like time domains or anxieties or overwhelm or kind of injury. What can we do here? In part 3, we begin to show you how to integrate this into an approach for your athletes and how to implement it particularly. So we essentially address the system of this is how we deliver. In week 11, we'll touch on the principles of coaching, how to build, how to approach mindset as a whole with athletes who both want it and those who don't. So with some people you'll be coaching, they want it and they're like, I need mindset training, help me. Other people, you can tell they're lacking in mindset training, but they don't want to address it yet. So how can you bring up the discussion? How can you start to help them without them even realizing you're doing this? And this isn't manipulating people. This is just another addressing. This is another growing of your coaching ability. In weeks 12, 13, and 14, we'll discuss which tools apply to different stages, from visualization to vision setting to win counting to mental reset buttons. So we'll of course say when each tool is necessary and when not to use them. This is a huge part. You can't just throw tools at people without them knowing the situation to begin with. At this point, we'll go up for a few more calls, where one will be like role-playing coaching scenarios, one will be like a bit more of kind of the theory behind it. And then in week 15, the final week, we'll use it as a chance to recap the system as a whole and put the pieces together. For example, we'll look into call structures for one-to-one clients and how to implement in a group coaching scenario in person and online. And we'll really be using that role play a lot. So that is the course outline. If you want to become a Mindset Rx coach, all you have to do, shoot me an email, tom@mindsetrx.com, or find me on the socials, Facebook, which is facebook.com/tom.foxley, or you can find me on Instagram, which is @tomfoxley. The other thing to say, I'm recording this on Monday, the 23rd of April, and in 2 days' time, on Wednesday, the 25th, the cutoff date is going to happen for applications for this version of the coaching cert. And there probably won't be another one this year. At the moment, it's looking that way. So if you want to do this, you'll need to get on straight away. So email me, tom@mindsetrx.com. And I've already checked my emails today. So if you're going to have to do it straight away. So you've already kind of missed the boat for today's emails, and we need to get you through this process quickly. So email me, tom@mindsetrx.com, or find me on the socials. And I'll be back to you with some really good content. I'm looking forward to delivering the next podcast because it's a good one. Probably Wednesday I'll be recording this podcast, so actually the same day that cutoff is. So if you enjoyed the show, leave a 5-star review with some nice words on iTunes because it makes me feel happy, and I'll hopefully speak to you soon and see you in the Mindset Rx'd Coaching Certification.